8-3 factor trinomials with a leading coefficient that is not 1. In this lesson, we will see how to factor trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c when a does not equal 1. First, we're going to find factors of ac that sum to b. Let's move that over there. So let's look at our general format here. Here's a and here's c. So we want factors of those two that are going to add up to b. So this is a little bit different than our factor sum table from before. Right, so let's make our factor sum table. Factor sum. And if we look at our trinomial down here, we need factors of 7 times 3, which is 21. So all factors of 21 that are going to sum to 22, because that's our b. Now I think you can probably think of one right off the bat, right? 21 times 1 is going to add up to 22. Okay, so that's looking good. Now we start following our steps over here. Once we find those factors, we're going to substitute in those factors for b. So we're going to rewrite our trinomial here, 7x squared plus, and now instead of the 22, because that's our b term, we're going to put parentheses. We're going to put 21 plus 1. That's the same thing as 22, so that's fine. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of my factor sum table to make a little more space here. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and distribute that x across the parentheses. So I have 7x squared plus 21x plus x plus 3. Now, moving on to step number 2, group terms. Group terms means we're going to take the first two terms and make them into their own binomial, and we'll take the second two terms and make them into their own binomial. Okay, now, step number 3, we need to pull the GCF out of each binomial. And in doing that, we need to make sure we're creating identical binomials inside the parentheses. So this one's actually set up pretty nicely here for me. This binomial here has no greatest common factor besides 1. Okay, so I'm only have to pull out 1 out of that. It's only possible greatest common factor there. This one, though, over here, definitely has, a common factor to be pulled out. And I know from looking over here that I really want to make it be x plus 3. So I can probably make that happen. So let's see, I'm going to pull out 7x, because both of those are divisible by 7x, and that leaves me x plus 3. Wonderful, which is what I needed. So now what we do, now that we have the two identical ones here, that's one of our factors. So x plus 3 is one factor, and the other factor for this trinomial is going to be made up of this greatest common factor and this greatest common factor added together. So we're going to do 7x plus 1 in the other parentheses. So a little bit more complicated than the other ones, but still pretty easy. Okay, let's do another one where there's not so much writing all over the place. Remember that if you're not given it in standard form, go ahead and flip it around to standard form. The hard thing about these trinomials is just remembering all the steps you got to go through. So we still start with our factor sum table. Here we need to sum to negative 11. And remember, I need to multiply a and c together to figure out what I'm doing factors of. So I'm doing factors of negative 60 that need to sum to negative 11. So let's see what we can come up with here. I could do negative 3 times 20. That's probably not going to get me to 11. I could do, this one sounds good, 15 and negative 4. I need negative 11 though. How about 15 and positive 4? Okay, let's fill in our sums. That was 17. That was 11. And here's my negative 11. Okay, so these are the ones I'm going to go with. And I go back over here, and the first term stays the same. I do my minus sign. And then instead of the 11, I'm going to put in my two factors, which are right here, negative 15 plus 4. Okay, now since I have already accounted for my entire negative 11 inside my parentheses, I need to go ahead and make this positive so that I don't end up with a positive 11x, which is not what I'm going for. And I'll add my x there, minus 6. Okay, now I can distribute here. 10x squared, and I'm going to have negative 15x plus 4x minus 6. Remember, then we group, and then we pull out greatest common factors. So let's look at our first one. What kind of factor could we pull out? They're both divisible by 5, so we definitely pull out a 5. And they both have an x, so let's pull out 5x. That's going to give me there 2x minus 3. And let's see what we could pull out of this one. They're both divisible by 2, so let's take 2 out, and that leaves me with 2x minus 3. So that's looking good there. I've got the same here that I have there. That's what I'm trying to do. So I already know what one of my factors is, 2x minus 3. And now to get my other factor, I take this guy and this guy. So I have 5x plus 2, and then I am complete with my factoring. Okay, you can do guess and test with this as well. Remember, you need to be able to show tabular method or the FOIL that you're doing the testing. It can be very tiresome though, because there's a lot of different coefficients to try and a lot of different factors to try. So if you see one that you think right off the bat you know it, you're welcome to try guess and test. But like I said, it can be a little bit of a longer process. Okay, let's look at one last one here. Let's look at our factor and sum table. Oh, that's supposed to be enough. We're looking for factors of 10 that sum to negative 13. 2 times 5 is where I got our 10 from. And, this isn't looking very possible here, because we've got 1 times 10, that can't sum to 13, and we've got 2 times 5. Not looking good. If you can't find the factors, remember, it can always be prime. Okay, finally I just want to show you this type of problem that the book will present you so you know what it's talking about. They might give you a box here, which is basically the result of using the tabular method to multiply two binomials, and they say write the trinomial and then factor it. So you just need to pull the things out of the box, combine the like terms, which gets you to the trinomial. Right, so I had to combine my 4x and my 5x, so I have 2x squared plus 9 plus 9x plus 10. And let's just factor it for fun here. So we've got factors of 20 that need to sum to 9. I think we're going to be able to pull those out pretty quickly, right? 4 and 5, we got it. And we throw those in. 2x squared plus 4 plus 5x plus 10. Distribute 2x squared plus 4x plus 5x plus 10. Group, binomial, 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 binomial. Pull out greatest common factor, which on this one is obviously going to be 2x, which leaves me x plus 2. And over here we're going to pull out 5, which leaves me x plus 2. So obviously one of my factors is x plus 2. That over there. And my other factor is going to be this front one and that one right there. So I'm going to have 2x plus 5, and there are my factors. Okay, on your try these, let's do number 2 through 12, all the evens.